Welcome to A1R Psychic Radio here on Moonstruck TV. And it's an amazing exciting week, I think, for all our dear viewers and listeners in the US. You're heading towards your very big celebration of the year, the 4th of July celebration, which we don't have here in Australia, but we can join in the party from across the pond. And it is an important day in history, no matter where you live in the world, because I think we need to acknowledge days like this, where countries took their own independence away from the British colonies and became a force to be reckoned with. And, history says that over the years that America has always been the country, the nation that we all tend to look up to, particularly those of us that are in the Commonwealth. We look to the Americans for guidance and direction and inspiration. And I'm not saying here in Australia we don't feel comfortable standing on our own digs and believing in who we are, but we do have a very strong alliance with the Americans. And in some ways, I think stronger than what we even have to the British Commonwealth that we're a part of. So I'm really excited to be able to just share some early 4th of July celebrations with you. So let's kick the show off this week with our Simply Tarot card of the week. And it's a very apt card this week. It's the Six of Wands. So it's the letter or news coming, or more importantly, victory news. Now, that's why I said it's an apt card to go with the 4th of July celebrations, because it means that we've got lots of amazing information that's been downloaded or shared with us, and in some people's minds that there will be some sort of victory. And I think, you can still celebrate the victory of the amazing United States and everything that you stand for, whether or not you agree with your political system, and most of us don't around the world, and we're in a very strong time of change, but we still have to celebrate and give thanks to the leadership and the amazing industries that came out of the USA. And I think, over time, I think we'll find countries and nations like the USA will revert back to some of their core industries that maybe we were unfashionable there for a while. I think we're going to start to see more products proudly made in our own nations and really get behind that. So today's card for this week is about victory news, and I think victory can come in many, many ways. And that leads me on to the astrology section of the show. I want to talk about what's happening astrologically this week, because it is a very, very powerful week. For most of you that watch the show weekly, you'll know we're in the Cancer time of the year, which is the time of the year when our emotions come to the surface. It's time when we're being asked to nurture ourselves, look after ourselves a little bit more. For some people, that means, a good book and chill out and a nice, glass of wine or something like that. For others, it might be some nice sweet treats and sitting on the couch and watching your favourite movie or catching up with something on Netflix or cable. But for most of us, it's a time when we need to start soul searching and listening to what our emotions are telling us. And for a lot of people, it's a time where they feel that they want to hibernate or draw their family and their loved ones in closer to them and just protect them and cuddle them and nurture them. So it's really interesting that falls at the same time of the year every year, as it does, and so does the 4th of July celebration. And I think it's a time when we really should all take stock about the important things in our lives and holding our loved ones close to us and telling them how we feel. Don't forget to tell them how you love them and how proud you are of them, and your life wouldn't be this enriched if you didn't have them in your life. So astrologically this week, I want to talk about, we've got the sun, which is where the sun is in Cancer, but we've also got it holding hands or conjunct the new moon in Cancer as well. Now, the new moon in Cancer's dates are the actual 3rd, 4th and 5th of July. If you watch the show regularly, you'll know I talk about 2 days in the lead up to the new moon and 2 days on the departure of the new moon. But the actual new moon dates are 3, 4 and 5. So it's very, very interesting, because when we have a new moon, we always have the opportunity to try and attract something to us that's new or different, or enhance what we're believing in or what we're trying to attract into our lives that's new, fresh, innovative, gives us a sense of direction and purpose. It really makes us feel fresh and complete again. Now, when you have such a powerful conjunction as this with the sun and the new moon together, it's really sharing with us the things that are important about Cancer, and that's family, nurturing ourselves, enjoying the moment, listening to our emotions, taking a little bit of time out from our busy schedules and just to slow down, smell the roses, smell the coffee and enjoy what life has to offer, the fruits of our labours. And I think it couldn't be more powerful being on the 4th of July this year. But also we always have a little warning, and it's this time we do have another one just because we've got a nice, positive, calming, sort of family-orientated conjunction with the sun and the new moon. We also have at the same time, we have the planet Mars, which is the planet of action and frustration and wanting to make things happen yesterday, is conjunct or holding hands with our dear friend Mercury. Now, we know Mercury's the planet of communication and anything that's connected to communication, all our electronic devices and things like that. But when you've got Mars conjunct Mercury, and particularly in the fiery sign of Leo, it says that, you know, sometimes communications here can be very, very outspoken, almost to the point of picking an argument or a disagreement with somebody, being very hot under the collar, being very forthright, being very definite in what you believe in, and really not taking too much notice of anybody else's opinion unless it sits comfortably within the parameters of yours. So it's an interesting combination, particularly if you're attending a 4th of July party. I want you to sort of really make sure that if anybody starts to become aggressive or becomes too hot under the collar or is very definite on their opinion and you don't agree with it, just bow out gracefully and move on and find someone else to talk to, or go and sit in the corner or sit under the shade of a tree or something like that, or make an excuse you've got to go to the bathroom or get a drink or something, and just diffuse the situation that way. The last thing that I would like to see and hear of is the fact that there's been a family argument that's erupted at a, 4th of July party, which should have been a happy, positive time when we celebrate the independence of a nation. And instead, your own little nation goes to war with each other within the family. And sometimes those rifts take a very, very long time before they're actually sort of healed again, if ever. So please be aware of that. Enjoy your family time, enjoy the party atmosphere, enjoy the sunshine and the opportunity to have, time with people that are the most important to you, but also make sure that you keep your temper in check, that if somebody gets a little bit of aggressive or has too much of a strong opinion, bow out gracefully and sort of move on and find somebody else that's less confrontational to sort of have a chat with. And I think that's something that we can all do. We don't have to live in the United States of America to follow those rules. I think wherever you are in the world, I think you can do that. It's sort of not the time to sort of be jumping up and down and trying to get your voice heard in an aggressive way. It's always good to be forthright and it's always good to be positive and have a definite direction, but we don't have to shove that down everybody else's throats either. Just because we're very passionate about something doesn't mean somebody else is as passionate as we are or even has the same understanding or conviction. We are all individuals and we all have the right to do things in an individual and a different sort of way. So this week I want to share with you our Gemini Actress of the Week. And when I started to do my research on this particular young lady, I was really quite surprised. It's the one and only Nicole Kidman. Now, Nicole Kidman, we always sort of claim here in Australia she's an Australian, and I was really surprised when I found out that she wasn't actually born in Australia. She was actually born in Hawaii. She was born in Honolulu. So that actually makes her American by birth. We sort of adopted her here because, well, she was, most of her childhood was here in Australia, and she's married to an Australian now, the one and only Keith Urban. So we've just always assumed she was Australian. But anyway, that doesn't take anything away from darling Nicole. She's absolutely a sensational and amazing actress. She started very, very young. Look, there's too many awards to even begin to list them. And Nicole has had a very varied career in many different roles on the big screen, on the small screen. She's just an amazing role model, I think, for women all around the world. There isn't anything that Nicole can't seem to do. She's got an amazing family. She seems to have very high principles. She teaches her children well. She teaches them right from wrong and all those sort of things. But at the same time, she's absolutely a sensational actress and one of the highest paid actresses in the world today. And it's no wonder when you look at the diversity of the roles that she's played. And I think one of my early favourites of Nicole Kidman was Days of Thunder with her and her then husband, Tom Cruise, and to do with a racetrack. And that was absolutely an amazing film. And it showed her brilliance of her ability to be diverse in the role, that, you know, one minute she could be sort of a bit of an airhead and the next minute she was very serious and very, you know, taking responsibility for the things that needed to be done in their lives. And, you know, there's been many, many other roles over the years, from Dead Calm, which was a very dramatic role that she played with, I can't think of his name now. I can see his face, but that was out in the ocean. And that was a really dramatic sort of role. And she really played it very, very well. And to her current work, which for those of you that sort of have cable, or here in Australia it's Foxtel, Little Big Lies, and it's an amazing drama series that's happening at the moment. I'm really sort of loving it. I've been catching up on that in the last couple of weeks, and just to see her sort of on the screen working with Meryl Streep and Reese Witherspoon and things like that, it's just an amazing actresses they are together, and they have an amazing connection. And my producers just put up on the two actors in Dead Calm were Sam Neill and Billy Zane. I knew it would. I could see Sam's face and I couldn't think of his name for love nor money. But yeah, an absolutely amazing film, Dead Calm. I've watched it a number of times because each time you watch it, you get a little bit more out of it. But who can forget Nicole's role in Moulin Rouge too? I mean, if you want a movie to sort of lose yourself with on the couch with a box of something sweet or some popcorn, that's the film for you, because you're sort of taken off into another world of fantasy and dance and, you know, a happier time in life. Even though it's a sad story, there's a lot of happiness in that. So we need to be moving along now, and I think we should take our first caller. I was going to feature a candle of the week, but I'm not going to, because I sort of didn't want to take away from the 4th of July celebrations. I think that's very important. We can talk about candles next week. So let's take our first caller, which is Katie in Wexford Island. Are you there, Katie?
Hello, I am.
Have you got a question I can work with, please, Katie?
Pardon?
Do you have a question I can work with, sweetie?
I actually didn't think of a question, no. I thought it would kind of be a bit more general, maybe, I don't know.
I usually ask for a question so that I then answer what you've rung into the show for. You usually don't ring in to get a reading unless you've got something that's pressing in your life that you need some guidance with, you know, whether it's your love life, your job, where your life's heading.
Okay. Yeah, can you tell me maybe about the love life then, please?
Okay, sure. Right, the first thing that they're showing me, Katie, is that there's a number of endings, changes and transformations going on at the moment. I don't know whether you've been aware of this, but over the last 6 months, it's sort of been like a slideshow of your life going on while you're sleeping of a night, where they're clearing out a lot of old emotions. And, you know, you might have woken up and thought, why was I thinking about that person? It was somebody that, you know, I had a crush on when I was in school. Why would that be coming into my dreams at this stage of my life? It's your subconscious and your unconscious mind's way of clearing out the clutter out of your mind so that we can get you ready for the big changes that are coming in. I do feel that there is a new romance coming into your life. I'm not seeing it much before September, which is a couple of months away from now. I do get him as being a very different sort of person, I think, to the type of relationship that you've attracted in the past. And by that, I mean, this is a man that I think is a little bit more on the quiet side, but I don't want you to underestimate that for not being a strong man. Just because he seems quiet and calm and doesn't get sort of ruffled feathers about anything doesn't mean he isn't strong and doesn't have an opinion and certainly wouldn't take action if it was called for. He just chooses not to be a bombastic, bossy sort of person. He feels that that gets you nowhere. I get him as being close to the 6 foot mark, brown hair, hazily brown eyes. He's got a lovely smile. I know that the two of you right from the very beginning are going to have this really comfortable sort of connection. You're not sure that, you know, this is the sort of person that you could fall in love with, but you know that you feel comfortable with him. He makes you laugh. He makes you feel, you know, special. But in the beginning, you don't feel that there's any great magical pull. Now, there's all different types of relationships, Katie, that we attract in our lives. And, you know, some start with a very passionate, can't get enough of them, can't get them out of your mind sort of start. And quite often those relationships burn out as quickly as they begin. And then there's others where we might find them a nice person, but we don't necessarily think of them as being a love interest. And then over time, they sort of grow on us. And that's where I'd like to put this relationship, is I think he's going to grow on you. But at the same time, I think there's also been a lot of changes in your life leading up to this, as there's been in his. And I feel that this year he's made a major move from one location in Ireland to another. And this is how he's coming into your life, is that he's made that major change, that major move. Have you just made some changes around the house?
I have just been kind of spring cleaning and really sorting it out.
Good, because that's good, because you're showing the universe you're ready for change. You're clearing out things from the past and cleaning things and getting everything ready. So that's a very, very good sign. Also, they're showing me that your health hasn't been up to scratch this year. Has that been sort of more on an energy level? Like, you sort of feel like you're dragging yourself around a fair bit?
Yeah.
Yeah, they're also showing me that's going to start to sort of pick up again soon, where you're going to start to feel that, you've finally got energy that you can sustain yourself through the day. I'm not saying ready to run the marathon yet, but certainly nowhere near as tired as what you were. And I think that's also part of the changes that are coming in, Katie, was that you had to let your body sort of wind down. There's been too much stress over too many years, and it was sort of like everything sort of all caught up with you. And, even though you've been wanting to sort of spring clean and sort things out, there's been days there where you could have happily just sat on the couch all day and did nothing. And, your body would have said thank you to that. Not that you did, but, you really felt like you needed to. So I think you've got to try and get a balance between wanting to get everything nice and sparkly, but also listening to that your body needs a little bit of extra rest at the moment too. So we need to be achieving a balance there, Katie. But I do feel that your life is starting to blossom, and I feel that everything that you've let go of and the things that you've processed and dealt with have all been right. You haven't looked at anything in the wrong sort of way. So even if there's been a lot of, in a sense, loss and letting go of people that no longer brings joy to your life, it's been a positive thing, Katie. So don't look at it as a negative. Look at it as you're right on cue for where you need to be to open the next chapter of your life up. So I want to wish you well, because I do feel that life is going to be moving in a more positive direction for you, Katie. So it's been lovely to talk to you.
Thank you.
We're going to talk to Stephanie. Lovely. We're going to talk to Stephanie in Wrexham, Wales, UK. How are you, Stephanie?
Stephanie, yes.
Hello.
Steff. Hi, Anna. Hello.
Hi, Stephanie.
Can you hear me?
I help you, sweetie?
Sorry?
You have a question? You have a question for me that I can answer for you, sweetie?
Just a bit of guidance, really, about my whole situation at the minute. If you can pick up anything to do with work or anything to do with career or love or anything like that, just anything really.
Okay. Let's have a look at what's going on in your life. It's really sort of interesting, because what they're showing me at the moment, this is a strange way for them to show me this from spirit, but when people are watching sort of, say, a Facebook Live presentation and the emoji comes on the screen and it might be a heart or a thumbs up for a like or whatever, and then it goes sparkly, like fireworks, and then it disappears. That's exactly what they're showing me at the moment around you. Now, I'm not sure how to interpret that, to put that into your life, but that's exactly what they're showing me, as if we've got all these emojis on the screen and, then they go into fireworks and then they've disappeared. So the only interpretation I can put on that is that there's a lot of people around you in your life that are very approving of whatever changes or choices that you're making at the moment, even though you're maybe not tuning into that or even aware of other people's approval, it's there anyway. So I think you've just got to keep on the path that you're actually on. What they were sort of showing me, and I know you asked me about work, and we'll get to that in a minute, but they're showing me in a very overview way of your life. There's been a lot of things that you've had to sort of process in this last 18 months. Some things you've kept, some things you've put there in I don't know, and some things you've said, go away, I don't want you anymore. And that's been a really tough thing for you to do because you're always aware of not hurting anybody, but you had to start putting yourself first, Stephanie. And that was a really big step for you, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's what I did, yeah.
Yeah, and that's why I think they're showing me the emojis. You know, it's like a series of hearts and thumbs up and sort of, you know, you've managed to do that and you've done it very well. Now, moving on to the career situation, I'm not sure that there's a job change there much before towards the end of this year. I'm not saying don't look, and I'm not saying don't keep, you know, your eyes open and, you know, keep sort of being open to change, but I just don't feel there's a change just yet. They're sort of showing me sort of late October, early November, but what they were sharing with me was now was the time to make sure that your skill set is up to the minute. Is there anything else you need to add or update to put you in a better position so that if you do make the job change, that you're putting yourself into a better position where you can get a better paying job? There's no point in changing the job situation to change the window dressing from one situation to another, but it's still the same. We need it to be a definite improvement for you, and not just on a monetary level, but I think on a situation where you can enjoy the job. I think what's happened with the job you've got now, you're getting to the point where it's like it's a chore to go to work. I really don't enjoy this anymore. I don't enjoy the atmosphere. I don't enjoy the people. And you're looking for something more than that. And not necessarily something that's going to be more stressful, but just something that's more pleasant to go and to do every day. And that I think you need to really sort of seriously look at this, at how we can sort of bring that about. They're also showing me, I'm getting a message from the other side, but I'm not getting a person or a name or any symbology attached to anything. All I've been shown is a bunch of pink roses. Now, usually when I get that from the other side, that's a loving sort of gesture to sort of let you know they're here, but they haven't shown me or shared with me who it's coming from. So is there somebody that you can relate that to that would want to sort of say to you, here's a bunch of roses, that I'm proud of you or I love you?
Maybe my nan and granddad, I don't know, probably, because they're the two that I'm closest to.
Right, okay.
In the spiritual world, anyway.
Yeah, okay, yeah. They didn't show me anything that I could give you other than there was the biggest bunch of pink roses I've ever seen. So it was like, you know, these are for you to just let you know how much I love you and I'm so proud of you, and sort of the roses overtook me being able to see their faces in any way. So I'm taking that again, like, you know, how we started the reading with the emojis. This is like their emoji from the other side, that they're just so proud of you and so excited, I think, for what's to come up. They're also sort of showing me, has there been a resurgence in your relationship, sort of where the energy's becoming more loving again?
With my ex-partner, we've kind of started to see each other again as friends, but that connection's there once again, like this magnetic sort of thing again. We're magnetic towards each other again.
Okay, but this time are you being sort of more open and honest with each other, that sort of like, this is what I expect and this is what I don't expect?
Yeah, I think so, yeah. Like I've said, I want to be friends at the minute because I'm putting myself first. You know, I want to be friends, and I don't want anything to happen like it did before. So it's best if we stay friends for now. But obviously, there's a connection there still that will never go. But the more I want to be friends, the more it drags us together, if you get what I mean.
Yeah, I do. And I think that's partly where, you know, the beginning of the reading with the emojis, and I got more hearts on the screen than I did thumbs up or wows. And the same with that big bunch of pink roses. I have never, in all my years in this sort of work, ever seen such a huge bunch of pink roses. It was like I couldn't see round them, over them, underneath them, behind them. It was just, they were so full of pink roses. Now, for the spiritual side of things, of, your nan and that, to be showing it to me in that way, they have to be so excited about something. And, with all those heart emojis on the screen, that sort of showed me that there was love there too. But when I sort of started to ask about love, and they said to me that there was, like this, they showed me a heart, but they showed me it was getting bigger and bigger, as if this was the right type of love this time. So I think you're really handling this, resurrection of an old love in the most positive of ways, where you just want to be friends to begin with. You want to build that really solid connection there between the two of you, and then that will lead to the deeper, more grown-up relationship this time. I think the first time round, I think you were both just too immature and emotionally immature for the power of the connection, that you almost destroyed each other. And that's why it's never been over. It's just been, you just weren't ready for the power of that connection again yet.
Oh God, yeah. It was so, well, obviously you understand, obviously, from the reading and that, but yeah, it was. But there's always been a connection there. I can never love anybody like the way I loved them when he.
No, it was like there could never be.
Loved me.
No, but there could never be. And there never was for him either. It wouldn't have mattered if you both partnered off with 20 people each. It still would never have taken that connection away from the two of you, because the power of this love goes on for many, many lifetimes. And that's what I said. I think you were both too immature to handle the power, the depth of it in the early stages of your lives. We're now coming back and looking at it in a more mature way, and starting out more on that friendship level and getting that good solid base, and really talking about what you want, what you don't want, what's acceptable, what isn't acceptable, and setting boundaries from both sides within the relationship. This time it will be easier, it'll be right, but it'll be such a powerful connection that I think the two of you are going to go on and help other couples resolve their differences. Like, you're going to be role models in your community, and that's a good thing, Stephanie.
Yeah. I'm always worrying because I know he's been like messing other girls and stuff like that, like last time. But I just have that inkling that I don't know if I should trust him again, but on his side, is he prepared?
Yeah, but you've got to look at this. But you got to look at this, Stephanie, as a brand new relationship. Even though the two of you have been in love before, look at this as a brand new relationship and forget the past. We wipe that slate clean and look at this as boys meets girl. We're starting a new relationship, and these are our new boundaries. I don't think you'll have an issue with trust this time, sweetie, at all.
I think that's what I said to him. I said, I don't want to talk about the past, the past is the past. I have felt like that, but it was just one part of me saying that I shouldn't trust him, but there's a big, massive part of me saying this time I think he's really going to make an effort, like, in his own time, obviously, but he's not going to wander or whatever. But
no, he won't this time, Stephanie.
He won't.
Yeah, no, he won't wander this time, sweetie. Yeah. Anyway, darling, that's where we've got to leave it. We've got to leave it because we've come to the end of the show, but I wish you and your partner well, and I know that you're going to have the love story that other people are going to look up to and aspire to have exactly what you guys have got. So on next week's show, we'll do it all again. We'll have the candle of the week, the card of the week, and we'll do our little astrology lesson. So until next week, enjoy your 4th of July celebrations wherever you are in the world, and have an absolutely fantastic week. Do it all again next week. Bye for now.